Hey everyone, so in this video I'm just going to summarize what was talked about in the Mirandus Fireside Chat that happened on February 23rd, 2023. They started off by talking about the Tavern games. So there is going to be a playtest for Tavern games next week. The only game that's available to play is the Three-Eyed Snake game. That's where you roll 3 dice and then you have to decide which dice you want to keep and which ones you roll again. The goal is to essentially get 3 dice that land on a 1 that will win everything, or get as many dice as you can that roll on a 6. And then whoever has the most dice that have a 6 will win, unless somebody else gets 3 dice that rolls a 1 that will win. That's basically a simple explanation on how you play and win in that game. You do not need any NFTs to play in the Tavern game, so anybody can play it. Coppers are used in the Tavern games. That's basically the currency that you will use to bet on every game. And you're trying to bet copper and win coppers from the other players and have as much copper as possible. Free coppers can be claimed every 6 hours is what was said. There are also bonus coppers if you own Mirandus NFTs. And this is you only have to own 1 of each of these NFTs, so only multiple does not give you more copper, just to be clear. So you'll get bonus coppers for owning an exemplar, a building deed, a land deed, a cruel fate card, the Ring of Discord, and Mirandus Box. And it appears that you'll also earn extra copper if you're holding at least 500 Materium. They talked about how there's improved UI and game physics when you're rolling the dice. There's going to be hotkey commands now, so the spacebar will roll the dice, and then the 1, 2, and 3 number keys will allow you to select which dice you want to hold on to. So that's nice. You'll be able to actually play the game without any mouse clicks. They are working on 2 new Tavern games. One will be some kind of wheel spin game, and the other one will be a card game like poker, basically all the cards that a regular poker deck has. So I'm expecting that we'll be able to play, poker with Texas Hold'em style kind of game, which is cool because I would rather play that game personally than the Three-Eyed Snake one. So they said the top 10 players who earn the most copper will earn a real-life Mirandus mug. If you do win, you do have to pay for shipping. They made that clear. I think that's cool, to be honest. I'd like to win one of them, but I feel like it really depends on both skill and luck, and as well as how much time you can actually spend on playing the game. I actually didn't get a chance to play the first Tavern games playtest, but I will be checking this one out, and I'll probably live stream it as well. I don't expect it to be that fun for like a whole week long, but we will see. They did say the playtest will run for 1 whole week, or they'll try to keep it up for 1 whole week. And that's basically everything they talked about for the Tavern games playtest. So then they talked about the actual Mirandus game. So here is what I have for the Mirandus updates. The playtest date has not been officially announced. They expect it to be ready by the end of March, but it sounds like they may push it back further if they continue to find bugs, which I would expect them to find bugs. They talked about render improvements. So they said equipment that you have on your exemplar matches your exemplar. So if you have armor equipped, then it shows up in the game and everyone can see it. It sounds like a really basic concept, but yeah, I'm glad to see them getting this done. They talked about motion matching, which will make it look like the game is running smoothly, like everything's getting updated as fast as possible. Then they talked about the enemy AI improvements. So there's going to be behavior trees for the enemies. Enemies will try to avoid you or avoid getting hit or attack you. If an enemy is low on health, it may try to run away. Very basic enemy AI in my opinion, and they say it will of course be improved upon over time. Then they talk about inventory. Armor can be equipped and the new armor will render onto your character so you and everybody else can see it. I assume it's the same for weapons, and you'll be able to see all the items you have collected in your inventory, of course. Then they talked about death, or specifically death during the playtest. If you die, you start over completely. I assume that means you lose all your items, but you should be able to start over again with full health and energy during the playtest, since it's a complete start over. That's not going to be the case when the actual game comes out. The death mechanics are different for the full release Mirandus game from what they have told us before. Then they talked about harvestables. So there are items around the world that will be able to be picked up and added to your inventory and can be used to craft other items. They then talked about crafting and upgrading. So you will be able to craft and upgrade equipment such as swords, bows, arrows, and armor, which will help you survive around the world. Then they talked about looting. So when you kill an enemy, you'll be able to walk up to it and loot items from it. They said, for the sake of the playtest, when an enemy is killed, it can be looted by whoever did any amount of damage to that enemy, but there is only one loot available, so it will go to the first person to go up and loot it. I hope that made sense, and I'm going to rephrase it with example. So let's say me, my sister, and a friend play, so there's 3 of us, and we all attack the same deer, like we all shoot the same deer and damage it. All 3 of us damaged it, the deer dies. So now any of us 3 can go up and loot it, but just the first person to go up and loot it will get the loot. So the other 2 people will not get any loot. It's first come, first serve. But if somebody else tries to loot it that did not do any damage, they will not be able to loot it. That's how that works. Hopefully I made that clear. Also, when they showed the footage, it shows a spinning box that won't actually be in the game. They said that's just there for testing purposes. Then they talked about the energy use and healing. So crafting, sprinting, and actions such as attacks or collecting items will consume energy. Energy is divided into 2 requirements. That's hunger and rest. If you're low on energy from hunger, you may enter the starving state, which will require you to eat some food in order to recover energy. Otherwise, if you're in the starving state, you'll move slowly and you'll lose health over time. There's also the tired state or restless. I'm not actually exactly sure what it's called. But you'll have to go and rest in a tent or an inn, for example, in order to recover energy for that. They said in order to heal quickly, you'll have to go to a lodge area such as a tent or an inn, because you can rest and eat a meal in there. Then they talked about weapons. So you will be able to have up to 3 weapons equipped, and you'll be able to quickly switch between those 3 weapons in battle, which I really do like that concept. The more rare the weapon, the more skills that the weapon will have. So they made it sound like an ancient weapon will have 5 skills available to it, and that means perhaps a rare weapon will have 2 or 3 skills or something like that. So then they talked about playtest rewards, but the exact amount of rewards has not been confirmed. They said there may be material rewards in different ways. One of those ways would be from enemy drops. So when you kill something, you may get a message saying you received a material reward, which should be sent to your account after the playtest ends. That's how I speculate it will work. This will of course be a limited supply, so it's not something that can be farmed constantly during the playtest. There will also be a participation reward just for playing and doing a task like the previous playtest. It's just unclear if the reward structure for that will be the same as the previous playtest, but I don't think so, considering they want to reward players in different ways as well. Other things that won't be available during the playtest: you cannot place land deeds, you can't place buildings, you cannot ride horses, and there will not be an in-game chat. I believe they said you cannot drop items or trade with other players. That's not going to be in the playtest. Eventually, that's stuff that will be in the game, but there's mechanics that they still have to work on. And that's all the main information I could get from this Mirandus Fireside Chat. I'm looking forward to Mirandus and the playtest in the future. I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm a little disappointed with this Fireside Chat, just because I feel like the stuff they've been working on so far is really basic stuff. You would expect this to have already been in the game. Like, don't get me wrong, obviously everything they showed and talked about is an improvement, but they've still got a long ways to go. But I know that already. I just hope that they can get more work done. It also feels like the Tavern games is completely slowing down the development of Mirandus, but they said that's not the case, and they say that the Tavern games is pretty much essential to test and use the same working code for saving data in Mirandus. But for the next week, they're pretty much just going to focus on Tavern games and make sure it's working as intended and fixing any bugs that may come from that. It will be a long couple years before the release of Mirandus, and in the meantime, we will have other Gala games to play to keep us occupied while we wait, so hopefully everything continues to progress well and in good time. If you found this video informative, leave a like, drop a comment with any feedback you may have. I plan to make more Mirandus content whenever there's something to talk about, but I also cover other Gala games content, so subscribe if you're interested in that. Thank you for your support, and thanks for watching.